I'm going to ask them to talk loud. These aren't for any speakers in here. We are going to record this, attempting to, so it'll be available if you want to listen to it later at link2leesummit.com. My name is Nick Parker. I run Link to Lee Summit. It's a fairly new local media site here. We do news. We've got some podcasts, Lee Summit Town Hall you can do. I got involved early with you guys, and I want to tell you, kids are awesome. It's really easy for us to make the funny jokes about the next generation's lazy and no good, but I'm telling you, every time we talk with these groups, I walk away hopeful, I walk away jazzed, and I think you guys will too. It might get uncomfortable. Embrace it, fight the urge to adult. Don't do that. I'm trying to do toy. Hopefully we'll have some video of this too, but you know, I'm kind of dumb, so it doesn't always work. I'm going to start with you guys, let you introduce yourselves, tell everybody your name and what school you go to, except for her, I know you are homeschooled. Yeah. Anna, tell everybody who you are.
I'm Anna, and I'm homeschooled. I'm Marin White, and I go to Lee Summit West High School.
I'm Heather Heil, and I also go to Lee Summit West High School.
I'm Maurice Foster, and I go to Lee Summit West High School as well.
I'm going to start off with, seems like an easy question, but it's one that we all struggle with. I don't know if you guys ever sit through on other boards or meetings, you swap things where you talk about your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Weaknesses and threats are the easiest one. We can go for that for hours, but nobody wants to talk about what they're good at. So to start off, I'm going to go down the line. I'm going to start with you, Maurice, because you did this same thing earlier this morning, so you're practiced and ready. I want you guys to go down the line. Tell everybody one good thing about yourself and a good thing about your generation.
Well, I'm Maurice Foster, of course I already said that, but I'm really good at theater and acting, and that's why I really want to go to school for and make a career out of in film, writing scripts. And really what I love about my generation is that I feel like as a generation we can come together and really start something, like we already have started a lot of things as a generation. And I understand, like it looks like we're a little behind the tracks a little bit with the whole technology advancements and things like that, but I feel like we have a lot of young entrepreneurs and leaders that will soon lead this country, and not just this country, but the world, into high hopes one day.
Heather?
Okay, so one thing I'm good at is, it's not really something I'm good at, but it's something that like I'm proud of. So like I'm very outgoing, anything like that, and I don't really like hide. So like if I have something to say, like I'll say it, anything like that, and I like to include everyone and make sure no one feels left out. And then one thing I like about our generation is I feel like we're very accepting, whether when it comes to religion or like LGBTQ, we're just very accepting, and like we like include everyone, and like we don't want to make them feel bad about like what they believe in or like who they are as a person.
Marin?
I'm Marin, and one good thing about myself is I'm an advocate in my community. I do lots of work with the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, and I also lobby legislators, so I'm really into debate, and I enjoy being an advocate for those other than myself. And something that I think is really great about our generation is, I feel like, kind of going off of what she said, is that we're very open-minded and accepting to other people's ideas, you know, no matter your race, ethnicity, background, socioeconomic. I think that we're all very accepting of each other and our ideas as one another, and we value each other's opinions.
Anna?
Something I'm good at.
What's something that makes you feel good about being you?
Well, I really like helping people, and interested in the medical field, so I might do something like that. And
Something good about your generation. What should your generation be proud of?
maybe just growing up with a lot of opportunities. Like it's easier now, I guess, to go to college and to find a career that you enjoy. And I guess, I don't know, it's different now, but.
Can everybody hear Anna okay? Okay, just want to make sure. You gotta talk loud. Now it's time, I'm going to actually turn the tables. I'm going to ask you guys a question a little bit. When we first got the results of this survey and we brought in a focus group to talk to us, we were pretty surprised because their responses were different than what we expected. So, get out your phones now. We ready? On this survey, we gave them topics. We kind of gave them, Carrie, why don't you can you set that up a little bit?
Okay, so I blew it already. In the beginning of the presentation, I was supposed to share a little bit more information about who was involved. So I'm going to back up just real briefly to our beginning slides. Just so you know, we had close to 500 students in middle school through high school complete the survey. And so there were 10 schools involved. You might question that. And the reason why we had so many schools was we had our 6 schools here. We had St. Michael's, we had Summit Christian Academy, and we also had students that were attending Summit Technology Academy, which polls from districts far and wide. And so what you'll see here, and I'm almost finished, is that the majority of the responses that we caught essentially were from high school age students, although you can see we also polled, some middle school students as well. How we came up with the questions, to get back to where you were in the presentation, is that we asked general open-ended questions, and we gave the initial survey to 150 students, and then based on their responses to the same questions, we started to come up with categories so that we could hopefully make the process go faster and engage more people in the process of completing the survey. And so what you're going to see here, beyond what makes you feel good about being you, we said, well, what are the 3 things you wish your parents and other adults really knew about your generation? And so these are the categories that they were given, and this is your opportunity now for you to vote on what you think were those top 3, and we're going to compare that to what the youth, the 500 almost youth, shared in their responses.
So we're going to give you not quite a minute.
Yeah, maybe 30 seconds-ish. Yes?
I can't read that.
Okay, hey, no problem.
Okay, I'll read through them.
Go ahead. You are not alone.
We experience anxiety and depression.
That's A.
B is we are smart. C, technology plays a big role in our lives. D, social media is a huge influence. E, we have a lot of stress. F, school is hard. G, we are busy. I'm going to have fun with that one later. H, there is drama and bullying in our relationships. I, we communicate differently. J, we work hard. K, we are open-minded. And the last one, L, is we can experience heartbreak.
How do we answer that text? Or how do we text it? I can't read that.
To join the section, text LSCARES to 37607. We did better housekeeping the first session this morning, so I apologize. We're kind of flubbing it this way around.
We had a big screen on it. It was much like double or triple.
On the evaluation, feel free to write bigger font, please.
This one's a lot closer.
I noticed that.
It is.
No, Maurice participated in the morning one too, so this will be interesting for him to watch kind of.
A lot more spread out.
Oh, you're right.
Is everybody? You wrap it up?
Is there anyone who is still engaged in voting? We don't want to cut you off. I still haven't kicked you off.
Okay.
No worries.
No.
Nancy? Oh, so you picked two.
Oh, one of 3 things. Oh.
Yeah, we want you to pick your top one, and then we're gonna say what the. Gary, what did we do this time?
We're showing them.
So that's our joke.
Yeah, but I chose 3. I don't know if the first one I gave is the one that's actually my number 1. It might be my number 3. I just, as I go, I pick 3 of them.
All right.
Well,
So
I
let's
think
wrap up the poll.
What we're going to do is Carrie's going to write down kind of the top 3 answers. I think it's pretty clear that anxiety and depression, you guys think is probably the biggest thing that they would answer. And then it looks like we have 2 at 15%, Carrie, that we have a lot of stress. and that we communicate differently. And I'm saying we, but I really mean you guys. I'd like to be included in that generation. They're better than ours. Here's what they said. Here's what the teens said. At the top of their list, we have a lot of stress, we communicate differently, and school is hard. Now, I'm going to actually let you guys individually answer this, though. Tell us about your generation. What is it that you wish we knew? Tell us, kind of go into a little bit more detail than what those were. But tell us what you wish we knew. And it doesn't have to be on there. We want to hear some honest, expanded answers. I'm going to start with you, Anna, basically because you looked more nervous. And I'm mean.
Just expanding on.
Just tell us, what do you wish, when you think about parents and adults and mentors, when you think about going to them with problems, what is it that you wish we already knew about your generation to make that easier?
Maybe just listening. I don't know if that's for everybody, but just listening to what we have to say about a problem or situation before trying to solve it or fix it, or even just not trying to solve it or fix it, but letting us talk through it. And
What should we know, though, that would make us better listeners at that? Is that too much?
I don't know.
Are your parents here?
No.
Okay.
I was gonna make them turn around in a corner so they couldn't stare at you if they were. Maren, what do you wish we knew?
One thing that I wish that you knew is that, our course load today is a lot more challenging, I feel like, because we have the opportunity to take college classes and, medical classes and all those kinds of classes a lot earlier. And so we have a lot of pressure and to make that decision of what we want to be when we're in high school almost now, because we have all those opportunities for all of those more challenging classes that we can take. And I think that sometimes as high school students, we think that we can just take on all those different classes, and we don't realize the amount of time, energy, and effort goes into doing all of that, and so that puts a lot of extra stress on us as well. But I think that if we balance it out, it could be fine. But I think that sometimes if, adults were more accepting of the fact that we have a lot of work and stuff to do because we are trying to, accomplish our goals in the future so soon, that that can always be a challenge.
Heather, what should we know?
Okay, so I'm gonna go a little bit deeper into that we have a lot of stress, because there's a lot of aspects that play into it, whether you're in sports, you are taking all the advanced classes for dual credit and stuff like that. So it is very hard to find a balance in between everything you do if you're involved in a lot of activities. So I think it would be just be patient with us, and don't get mad if we get a bad grade on something like that. Just realize we have a lot on our plate, and we're still at the age where we have to find that balance to where we can still do all the things we love.
Maurice?
Well, I'm gonna mix two together. Because personal experiences, stress, and bullying as well, because I was bullied a lot in school in general, and because my whole thing is I wanted to be different and look different and things like that, and I would get picked on because of it, because I didn't look like everybody else most of the time, and so I was stressed a lot about why I did not, why these people were bullying me and saying the things they were saying, and every day before I go to school, I'll just be stressing about what they're gonna do today, what they're gonna say today, and really the way I was raised by my dad was you handle a problem when there's a problem up front, but sometimes it's okay to come to your parents, but I was just too prideful as well, and I didn't really think that me coming to my father about this issue was going to help the situation, because he already kind of gave me the advice. I feel if you do give your kid advice, in the earlier times, just still try to hear him out. Even though you gave him advice about that situation, you still gotta, sometimes you might change of heart, a different experience, and you might give them a different advice from learned experiences, and they might end up coming out of this experiences more wise and learn something because you was a little bit more open to talk to them, or you just had a change of heart of what you already said to them.
We're going to peg into those things a little deeper in a second. I want to stick for a little bit about maybe things that we should know. The second most picked answer, I lost my out of actually talk there for a second, is we communicate differently. When you say that, what do you mean?
Well, because with me, okay, I have two different families, so my mom and dad are separate. And so me and my mom, we are like this, and we communicate really well. But like me and my dad we're grown to communicate a little bit better. It's just that, you know, it's different situations to how you communicate with your kids, because my dad didn't have a father, so he didn't really have that emotional bond with his parents. So it was kind of hard for me and him to have an emotional and bond and really like talk until like now. But we just like, we communicate different now because we realize I'm getting older, and like sometimes we might have to stress it to a parent because it's like, this is something I really need to talk to you about, and we're either too busy. Why I'm saying we, you're either too busy or working, or you just got a lot going on. So sometimes you might have to stress it, but sometimes I feel like as a parent, I'm not a parent. I'm sorry, I'm messing up.
There is no messing up, but you're just talking, and that's good. Maybe I'm not quite asking. Heather, help me out here a little bit. Generationally, how do you communicate differently than we did when we were teens, than we do now? How is that different?
I feel like when we communicate to each other, it's a lot different than it was like with your guys' generation, because of social media plays like a big part into it. So like most of the time, if people are upset, I feel like we're not actually talking to someone else about it. But like I know a lot of people who like post rants on Snapchat, whether it's on like a private story that they created or just public, so that anyone they have on it can see. So we're not like, I know a lot of people who aren't as open about like just talking about their problems. And so you kind of have to like dig deep into them to get, if that makes sense.
Maren, you were nodding.
Yes, I agree with that. And also, you know, I feel like today we communicate differently through, you know, the use of emojis. Like one of us, we might be feeling something and we send like a sad face emoji. Well, that can be interpreted differently by so many different people. And I think that, you know, texting, that's the way we communicate. We communicate with that through more an email and rather than face-to-face communication. And I think that that's something that our generation could improve upon. But it's also a strength too, because we have instant ways to connect with our teachers or with even our parents. You know, if you're on another floor and you want to tell them something, you know. But that could obviously is something that can be improved upon, but it does have its advantages.
Anna, do you want to tag on anything to that? I want to make Maurice wait. He's too eager.
I got it now.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Just, yeah, social media is very much part of just the way we communicate now. And yeah, I agree. I think it could be improved. A way of communicating could be improved, like communicating how we feel face to face instead of just, I guess, instead of talking to people, we'll resort to that or text a friend about it instead of like actually talking to them.
How do you, both you and Maren talked about context was missing a little bit. So if an emoji can have 10 different definitions, how are you communicating and letting people know the context of what you're feeling?
I feel like we just want them to like assume that they know what we're going through, and they just kind of like, we like think that they're automatically gonna know like what's wrong with us, and like, yeah. we just want them to assume more than actually like open up and tell them.
Okay.
And going along with that, you know, our age is the generation of instant gratification. So we automatically kind of assume that people, you know, will know how we feel if we just give them a one-line answer or through a text message or an emoji. We just expect that they'll immediately know and give us an answer back, when in reality we need to explain ourselves, and sometimes the best way to explain it is if we're talking to them in person rather than through a screen.
Maurice, did you have something you wanted to add before I moved?
Yeah, because I finally, like, okay, I know.
I saw the light bulb emoji actually over your head.
Got it, okay, all right. So pretty much I understand, like, back in y'all day, you know, in order to communicate, you know, you gotta hit up the little rotary phone, not the rotary phone, the house phone with the big cord on it. I understand.
I've seen YouTube videos of your generation not even knowing how to use the rotary phone.
We gotta take it tonight. We gotta take the hits. So, Maurice.
So pretty much, like, I understand, like, when you wanted to go out, you hit the house phone and call up, and now we can just text away and let people know. But I think not just us, but like as parents, if y'all are doing a really great job, like really getting with it and things like that. But like I remember, like at the first point, like I told my mom, "Hey, I got an A on the test." She said, "LOL," and I was like, "What's so funny about that?" And she said, "That's lots of love," and I was like, "That's not what it means." But the forms of communication is getting better. I remember my dad, like he'll yell for me in the house when he needed me. Now he just calls me and I'm upstairs. So I feel like the forms of communication is getting a lot more better. We're working more and more on it, and everybody's getting familiar with it. I got it. I finally got it. Yeah.
I'm gonna move to the next topic, and it's kind of gonna go back a little bit to where you guys started. This is your next chance to be involved, though. We're gonna talk about challenges that you guys face, the things that actually do stress you out that you want us to know about. I'll run through these again before you guys start voting. So the categories they were given: trying to be perfect, peer pressure, having a voice, being understood, D, not enough sleep, E, being judged, F, social media, G, stress, H, worrying about the future, I, trying to be perfect, and J, time management. And Rachel, fantastic job making it so we only had one trying to be perfect this time. We had it on the twice this morning.
No, it's on their phone.
Oh, it's still there?
It's still there.
Wow.
Early celebration.
Well, great.
We're not trying to do this.
That's right. That's perfectly imperfect.
Are we still going? Okay, so the room says. Oh,
Room's not done.
the room's not done. We can do like a pencils down thing.
Is there anyone who's keen in their top?
Can we just show of hands, because this whole League Summit, I mean, it's got three, whatever that number is, it's 5 digits, so there's not even a full phone number, so.
You don't need a full phone number, just use the 5 digits.
These fortunes are laughing at him.
With a real darn wire on it.
Yes.
But I think what's more confusing is you have to do all 3 answers at one time with a comma and a space in between the letters. Yes.
You just need to know for one. It's only recording your first one.
Gotcha. There you go.
We're working on it. Working on it.
Well, and I think this gives us a good feel. So the room is saying being judged is the top challenge you face. Trying to be perfect. We're going to add that together, so maybe that makes that the top. I don't do that. And then stress and worrying about the future. Let's go to their answers. This one surprised me. And Carrie, we've done this 4 times. This is our, right? We've talked to kids 4 times, 5th time. This one always surprised me, that the top challenge they have said every single time, both in this survey and every time we've had a small group look at these, not enough sleep is the biggest challenge they face. Worrying about the future, followed by being judged. I want to start with the sleep thing. I'm going to start with you, Heather.
Okay.
What do you mean when you say that?
I feel like it all goes back to like the school workload is like if you're in advanced classes, they're gonna treat you like you're in a college class and like give you like a lot of homework. And I feel like it also ties into the worrying about a future one, because like I know seniors, because I'm a senior, like we're trying to figure out where we're going to college, filling out all the applications. So I feel like most kids are like up late at night, like just trying to like figure stuff out about like their life, whether it's with school, with the future, and like stuff like that.
All 4 of you are seniors, right?
Yep.
One of the things you guys, Maurice, you guys talked about this a little bit at the morning session, and some of the other groups have said this too, is that sleep is the first thing to sacrifice. When you look at the long list of things that you're trying to accomplish in a day, sleep's the easiest one to skip over. Is that true? Can you tell us why?
I think that it's one of the easiest things to skip over, because if you have a long day of school and afterwards you might have work or a sport, and let's say that doesn't get over until 6, but then you have 3-4 hours of homework that you might have to do or studying included in that, you might not get done until like 10. And so then most of our schools, I think, start at like 7:30. And so if we have to wake up in time for...
That's new.
Perfect timing.
We've got some giveaways, don't forget about that.
You didn't do that this last time.
And so if we have to wake up in time for school, that might only give us like 5 or 6 hours of sleep. And at that point, if we did get to sleep, we're still in a dream state when we wake up. And so I think that that's just, not only is that unhealthy, but it's kind of puts us at a disadvantage when it comes to the next day, because we're already so behind because we're tired, and then we might not be giving it our all in the next day because we're just so fatigued from the day before.
Maurice, walk us through that list of things that your generation has. You all have mentioned the long list of things. What is it? What are those things on those lists, and what don't we know, or what don't we understand?
So pretty much our future is something really, really important, because it's like after high school, it's like what we're gonna do is gonna make or break us pretty much. So like, I don't know, like everybody's career choice or something like that. Like, I don't know if it involves college, but some people like really want to go to college. Some people feel like they don't need to go to college. Like, it's like, even though we have a lot of opportunities to get into college, like it takes a lot of work to get into a university that you really want to go to, especially if it has a low acceptance rate and ACT requirement, GPA requirement. So now we're pushing harder and have heavier expectations. So like a school that requires a 26 ACT score and a 3.5 GPA, that's going to make us work harder and harder, sacrificing a lot more sleep than usual, because I have a bedtime. I know it's embarrassing, but I have a bedtime, and so like I have to get everything done from theater rehearsals to homework to chores at home, and try to get in bed at a relatively good time, and enough for me to wake up and be like, okay, I'm ready to tackle the next day. And sometimes like our parents might not understand that, because it's like, I understand I gotta get up, go to work, 8 hours, pay the bills. Very understand. Well, I don't understand because I'm not paying any bills, but y'all have to do that. So, but like we have to like do so many things at one time, to the point where it makes us like like go crazy sometimes because we're doing like 10 things at once and having high expectations and requirements at the same time. So that's one thing I think.
Heather, you wanted to add in?
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of go off what both of them said about having a lot on our plate and like the sleep sacrifice. So like I have a job and I play softball, everything like that, and like I'm in the youth advisory board and like a lot of activities. So I feel like whenever I get done with softball practice, I have to go straight to work, and then I'll work until like 10 o'clock, 10:30 at night, and then I come home and still have about like 2 hours of homework left to do. And like if I'm in like some dual credit classes, so like they have like extra homework and stuff like that, and when I'm confused, I have to stay up later. So like there will be nights where I don't go to bed till like 2 or 3 in the morning, sometimes like later than that, and like I still have to get up at like 5:30 to be at school like on time because I live semi like far away from it. So I feel like that kind of plays into sleeping the first thing to sacrifice.
All of your answers lead me straight into what that second category was. It seems like there is a pressure because you're thinking of getting all of these things done because of what you're going to do next. So kind of give us a feel about what you think about for the future. Maurice talked about college as a big thing. What things are you guys looking at future-wise that gives you worry? Anybody?
I think other than just college is a career choice, and I think our schools are really good about helping us decide what we want to be when we get older because we have so many opportunities to shadow or be involved in classes that help us decide that. But I think that when it comes down to it, there's so many options these days that we're exposed to that it seems like we can't decide what we want to be. And so I know personally I'm into debate, so I'm thinking about law, but then I'm also in a lot of medical classes because that's been my dream since I was younger. So I'm kind of in that place where it's like, what do I do? And I think that adds to the stress that we have other than just college. And it seems like we feel the pressure these days to decide at this young age what we want to be when we get older.
Anna, your schooling is a little different than theirs, so I want you to be able to throw in your perspective a little bit. Does it fall in line with what they're saying?
Yeah, except that I don't really have a problem with sleep because I don't have like sports or stuff like that. But worrying about the future is definitely still obviously something that I think we all.
Is it all centered around college?
Just college.
What are those other stressors?
Well, for me personally, like my biggest stressor is not college. It's just about where I'm going to be in the next 10 years. Because my whole goal in life is to be financially secure and to pretty much when they give my future kids the life they pretty much never had. Because earlier in life, me and my family went through a hard financial struggle to the point where like we was poor. And we was homeless at one point, me and my mother. And like, I don't want things better for me. I want to I want to put my family up. I want them to be in better houses. I want my future kids to be in better houses. I want to be a success in life. So that's like the biggest stressor to me is just working hard enough to get to a point where I can live that type of lifestyle and have my family live good in life.
Before we go to the next step, I do want to touch really quickly, if you guys can talk about the being judged, the stress that comes with that, and what that means. I mean, most of us are probably thinking social media again, of course, that's the root thing. Is it always social media when you say being judged? And what does that mean?
I don't think it's always social media being judged because like I have an example for this too that I was talking to Marin about earlier is I'm an Italian ambassador, so like when we have advisory, I'll go in with like the freshmen for like the first semester, and there's this kid in here who like all the other kids just like pick on and are constantly like judging the things he does, and like making fun of him for like the stuff that he says he likes, or anything like that. So like I'm not the only like senior in there. There's a couple others in there with me, and so the teacher, so like we all kind of like step in and like help like support this kid, but like it's definitely not all social media. Like there's definitely like times in the hallways where you can like just feel people like judging you for what you wear that day, and I feel like it's a big worry for kids. Like Marie said earlier about going to school thinking, oh, what are they gonna say to me today? Like it like all plays in together.
To keep us moving along, I'm gonna go to the next thing. The next question that we wanted you guys to focus on is what do you do? So when you have issues, when you face challenges, when that list gets too long, when you know you've stayed up too late and you didn't get enough sleep, when you're the kid that everybody's making fun of, what are you doing when you face those challenges?
Again, big family. I have 2 older sisters, 2 older brothers who've been through the high school and college life. So, I mean, they've been pretty much through everything. So they're the first people I talk to because they went through the experience. And they're not just gonna tell me like something like, I'll just suck it up. And they're just gonna they're gonna tell me like things that they did in order to solve their problems and things like that. So they're pretty much the first option for me, because they can relate to me and because they've been through the life I'm going through right now.
One of the things we joked about the first time we did this with a group was we walked away with basically the kids telling us to shut up and listen to them. What is it that we should know about how you want to face challenges? Do you want a parent to step in? Do you want to tackle it on your own? What are your resources and the things you're going to do when you face things like this?
I feel like there are times where the problem is just too big and we need someone like to step in and help us, even if we don't want to like accept that we need help. I think there are times that we need it, and then I feel like if it's like just a problem with a friend, I feel like we can get together and just kind of like work it out like with ourselves or something like that. So it kind of depends on like how big the problem is and like what it's about.
What is your barometer for that? How are you personally making those judgments?
For the example, like if it's a fight with my friend, like I'll come and talk to her about it. But like if it's like something like how I'm feeling, then I kind of want like my mom to step in and kind of like just be able to have someone like to talk to and kind of get advice on what to do to like feel like better. Or like if it's with college, I want help with that too.
Maren?
I agree with her. It kind of depends on the situation. Sometimes we all have different people that we go to talk to about certain things. And I think teenagers today, they really want to talk out their problems and work things out. I think sometimes the first people that we turn to are our friends. And then depending on the situation, then we can talk to our parents about it. But I think we mainly just turn to our friends these days.
Anna, is that who you go to?
Yeah, either friends or, I guess depending on the situation, friends or parents. But I feel like if we are trying to solve the problem ourselves, it's kind of ties in with like trying to be perfect, like trying to like handle everything on your own and I guess follow like what people expect you to do or what you think people expect you to do or parents.
So do you think there's an expectation to be able to fix the problems on your own?
Maybe.
Or are you just wanting to prove it?
That might be it too, yeah.
Maurice?
Well, for me, I feel like at a younger age, there's things that I just can't handle by myself, so I go tell my parents what's going on, and we're gonna figure out the problem. But I feel like now, since I'm 18 years old, senior, like I told my parents, like after this year, I'm gonna do 2 years of community college, then go to a 4-year university, finish it out. But I'm gonna move out the house and get an apartment after graduation. And like, you know, they was pretty shocked by it, but at the same time they said, hey, you're a big boy, you need to go out there and do it. But like at the same time, I know I have the expectation, like once I do that, I need to start handling things by myself as an adult, because I want to live as an adult. I need to start, you know, making decisions like one. So it's just like I bought a guitar like a couple months ago, and my mom was like, well, you know, you can't be doing that when you got your own apartment, paying for your own bills and food and stuff. And I'm like, you're absolutely right. I probably shouldn't have done that. So I'm just learning more and more, because I know when I'm 25 years old, living in my own place, it's both I can't and I won't call my parents and ask for money, because I put myself in that situation. I'm an adult. I need to figure this out by myself, because that's just pretty much how I was raised up.
I want you guys to turn around and look at the screen real quick. So this is what the 500 respondents were of who you turned to. Is that accurate, do you think? Is friends the top thing? Is parents number 2? Is that pretty accurate? Well, let me ask this, because it's probably a question on many of the minds there. So if you're not going to go to your parent, why? What keeps you from going to your mom or your dad?
I think sometimes they're more judgy than our peers when it comes to things. So, I mean, that's just.
Well, let's talk about that judgment a little bit there. I mean, do you feel like you can't go because you don't know what the judgment's going to be? Is it a fear because you know what the judgment's going to be?
Both.
It's for me a situation. Like, I had enough run-ins with my parents to know what situations is good to come to them about and what's not. I know I can't go to my mom talking about girl troubles, because she's going to kill me over that. She's going to be like, why are you focusing on that? And I know I can go to my dad and talk to him about that. Like, I can't go to my dad and talk about, I'm sad. Like, he's going to be like, okay. But I can go to my mom and we can have a 2-hour talk and have orange juice and like really talk about it, because like it's situations where it's like, and maybe that's just me because I live in a 2-home environment, but like, you know, for me it's the situation of when I can go to my parents, when I'll be judged. I like pretty much I know the deal now. So.
We need to add to the list things we need to know about their generation: the awesome powers of orange juice.
Yes.
I don't know about y'all, but orange juice is delicious.
Heather.
Okay, so kind of like me, so like my parents are divorced, so like I know which problems I can do. Like with what you said about relationships, like my dad's a cop and he's like very protective over like who I hang out with. So I know I'm not gonna go to him talking about a boy because he's gonna try and figure out who he is. And I'm like, no. I know I can go to my mom, but like with the same thing, I know I can kind of go to like both parents, like with how I'm like feeling. Like if I get in a fight with my dad, or like if I get in a fight with my mom, I can go kind of talk to my dad about it and get advice what to do, and then vice versa with it.
Anna, tell us when you decide to go to friends instead.
Probably whenever I already know what my parents are gonna say, and it's probably what I don't want to hear.
Maren?
Yeah, and I feel like if you make a mistake, you don't want to go to your parents. Like, you want to talk to your friends about it, or if you're in a dilemma, like, I always want to, like, see what my friends think of what they would do, because they're at the same age, or they probably have the same dilemmas, you know? And so I like to get their advice, and it's usually, like, on the same terms of what I was thinking, so.
We're gonna wrap up a little bit here, and I want to take a little time to ask you guys some questions. Can we do can we get out of the slide and do the fun thing?
Time to do the fun thing. You're going to ask the question about, so folks, okay, again, I blew it at the beginning, I don't know what's going on. We're just showing how imperfect we adults are to try to, you know, make things okay. But everyone should have been given an opportunity to grab a note card when you came in. And so if you have a question that you would like to ask our teens, if you want to write that down, I just ask that you would include your email address, because if we're not able to answer all your questions, We will have them answer them at a later time, and we will be posting them on the Lee's Summit Cares website. So if there's any of you that want to think about that now, and then Nick, you can move into your question for
Well,
them.
I think this is a good way to end it. This is the third time we've done it. And as you guys talk to us a little bit about that kind of internal debate of knowing when you want to go to a parent and when you don't. So I want to know what's going to make us as parents accessible to you guys. So give me 8, 9, or 10 traits. Just throw out some words of characteristics that you're looking for that will make your parent or a coach or a mentor, an adult in your life accessible when you come across some of these challenges and you want to approach them.
Understanding.
Open-minded.
Open-minded,
Empathetic.
empathetic,
Not being quick to just fix it, but to listen.
listening. Don't fix it too quick. Now I want to get into that a lot, but I'm too late. Characteristics of someone that can help you when you face a problem. Maurice, you know what like 8 others are from earlier this morning, so you can throw those out.
That was 8 hours ago.
You sacrifice sleep.
Caring, like just when you're listening, like actually wanting to help. But
Caring, okay. Earlier today we had sympathetic as well.
Trustworthy.
We had the list from this morning.
Oh, okay.
You want it?
Yeah.
No cheating. Any others before we?
One kid this morning said funny, which I thought that was good.
Funny.
So they're kind of
Face it,
keeping
funny.
it
Humor.
too.
Having a sense of humor.
And I'm gonna throw out one that you guys went to earlier. You talked about not being judgmental. You didn't want. One of the big fears was that they're gonna judge me.
I have one that might be a little one-sided to some people, but straightforward. Straightforward.
Okay. We're gonna leave those up there as we finish this out, and I'm gonna get to some of the, well, just one so far. Some of the questions from the audience time, guys.
All right.
Scoot your chairs up close.
All right, let's do it.
Now is the real stress and pressure.
All right.
Do you think your generation practices self-care? Would incorporating self-care help your mindset every day? Do we want Carrie to give her 30-minute lecture on self-care? It's $125 an hour. She said it was higher there.
When you mean self-care, what's like the?
Who asked that?
I actually did.
The teacher.
Love it.
What do you do to take care of yourself?
Like hygiene.
De-stress. Not hygiene products. De-stress yourself. What do you do?
I'm just kind of, because I don't want to be all over the place.
Yeah.
When you
You know, do you go for a walk? Do you read? Do you color? What do you do to take care of you that you enjoy?
Okay. For self-care, I feel like just doing what you are really good at. If like I love writing music, so anytime like I'm under any type of stress, I sit down, write music, write scripts all day long. Staying away from peer pressure. Peer pressure goes right under the use of drugs. Because once you're around people that you know, if they're doing something bad, you're just gonna think I'll be fine, but it's really not the case. So pretty much not going under influence of drugs, just really taking care of yourself, knowing yourself, and just being well-minded. That's not the word, but I just kind of put that one out.
Anybody else? What do you do when you have one of those days? The list is too long. You're not going to accomplish it all.
I can say some of the stuff that I do. So I'm in orchestra, so like I play the violin. like kind of like what my son does. He's kind of like with music, like I can just go lock myself in my room and like just practice for hours, or like I'll go to the batting cages for softball and just like keep doing that for hours until I'm kind of like my mindset is like back to normal, or like going on like a run or something. Just kind of falling back on doing something that like you love, that you're not, it's not going to stress you out and even more, because it's just like that one place where you go to just where you forget everything.
I'm going to judge you because you chose violin over cello.
I chose in like 4th grade.
It doesn't matter. Always choose cello. I'm going to ask you guys to play the coach here. I like this question.
Yes.
I like this question a lot. What do I do when I ask my kid what's wrong and they say nothing, but I know they're upset? What do you want the parent to do?
Bring me orange juice.
I want a whole slide on orange juice. Maren?
Well, I know I'm guilty of this, but you know, I think it depends on the kid and the situation. If it's something that you know is super serious, don't be hesitant to just pry them until they get to tell you. And I think that being open to anything that they might be going through, and sometimes helping, like doing something that they love with them, will help them open up to what might be actually going on.
Okay. Anna, did you have something to add? I read that wrong then.
Yeah, just, I guess, yeah, depending on the situation or the person. Yeah, they might actually want you to like pry it out of them, or they might actually want to tell you, but just feel like they can't. And it might actually be better that they do. But other times it might just be nothing.
You guys talked earlier a little bit about that line between sometimes you want to solve it yourself and sometimes you want the help. So for us dummies who we hear you go nothing, and then we're like, well, do I keep pushing? Tell us how we can better play that role, for there are times that you want to and you feel a need to solve it yourself, but also that we can be accessible for when you do want our help.
Two ways. Pretty much you said it, like if somebody says nothing, if your child says nothing, then pretty much it's probably a situation that they want to handle on their own. If that is the case, then just mention like, hey, I know you're probably going through a situation that you want to handle on your own, but realize that you can come to me and I can honestly help you. And I understand I told you something different way back a long time ago, that sometimes you got to handle these problems on your own, but just realize I'm your parent, and I'm there for you, and I can give you a different answer now because I understand that this is a more serious option now. That's what my dad told me like a few months ago. And I call it the old pat down. And it's like, you know, you're sitting on the couch, you ask your child, hey, what's going on? They say nothing. Just go, hey, back here. Don't say it in like a mean tone, like, what's wrong? Like, just say, what's wrong? Go ahead, tell me. And just listen. Turn off whatever you have going on, because then your undivided attention is on them and not whatever's on TV or whatever you're looking at. Even if you're handling business, I understand business is heavy. I understand if you're like in a conference call, like I understand that. But like, you know, if you're just watching the game or something like that, just turn everything off. Just show them like, wow, okay, I got their attention. So now it's just you and them talking.
Do I have time? Can I keep going?
Well, this is a dilemma, because I imagine some of you need to exit from here and head out, yet it's such a good discussion, it's hard to say stop at any point in time. So what we're going to do is, if there are people who have to leave, and we certainly respect that. Oh my, really?
This is a weird joke.
This is just bit odd. So if you need to go, otherwise, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have them field one more question, and then we have some free things to give to people. And a resource packet that I just want to direct you to. All right, so go ahead and hit one more.
Okay, I'm going to do one more, and I like this because you just talked about, parents, we should turn our stuff off, and all of us are sitting back here saying, you guys need to turn your stuff off. You're on all the time. So here's the question: do you think your generation has technology, social media addiction? And if you do think that, are you concerned about it? Now you got to be honest.
I think that, it goes both ways. I feel like my parents' generation is just as much into their phones and technology because it's like new to them as well, that they're on it just as much, scrolling through Facebook just as much as, we're scrolling through Snapchat, Instagram. But I think that there comes a point in time when it becomes a little bit excessive for us, everybody, and that's something that obviously both generations, but especially ours, could work on.
I'm going to follow up with a question we had at the last session. I think this was good. At the last session, the one this morning, somebody asked, how do you police yourself on social media? So what are your best practices for, I know I need to get off because I'm starting to be judgy with myself, looking at all those other pictures. So what are your own best practices? How do you police yourself for time on social media?
I completely put my phone on sleep. I turn my phone completely off because I realize if I'm on social media that long, then there's 10 other things I can be on my phone for just as amount of time. So I completely turn off my phone, I put it in my closet, and I play my guitar.
For me, I have a little alert on my phone at a certain time for when it's time to put your phone down, and if it's semi still early and my parents are still awake, then I can go out and just talk to them for a little bit before we go to bed and kind of discuss just the little things.
Mary?
Yes, something that I do is that, sometimes when I'm doing homework or something, I find myself going to social media and spending time on there, and so what I do is I just say, for 5 minutes I might look at something, go on social media onto one of my apps or something, and then after that, then I just turn it off and then focus on what needs to be focused on.
Anna, you get the last word for your generation. No pressure.
Well, for me, I only have one social media that I look at, and I try not to look at that. But I do think it is very time consuming, just for everybody who has any kind of social media. It's very time consuming. So I try not to look at it, and I try to just put my phone away when I'm doing homework and just to focus on what needs to be done.
Before I give it back to Carrie, I want you guys to know what's really awesome is 5 of these, none of them have been the same. There have been some common themes, but they all kind of go their own different directions. I hope you guys got some insight, kind of just as you sat and you listened to them. Again, I'm going to say I love this generation. I'm always excited talking to them. I think we should leave with hope a little bit. And this is the first step. We're going to do more. We're going to have more conversations. So let's thank these guys for opening up.